Earth's Exploring Earth Systems. Today we're going to take a peek at, oh, Kat is showing your screen. Just a sec, we'll get it set up. I'm gonna record. There we go. We're going to go through 4 essential parts today. We're going to look at key concepts, and in this section, we're going to do a little bit of myth busting and dive deeper into some of the key verbs in our curriculum. We're also going to be linking in where computer science and scientific methods fits, and some amazing resources will be coming your way. Then, as always, we have time for Q&A with Kat and I. So, first misconception we're going to go over is, yay, more science. In grade 1 and 2, we can see that science should constitute 10% of your instructional teaching time. Then in grades 3, 4, 5, and 6, we can see that science instruction moves up to 15%. And which is awesome because in grades 3, 4, 5, and 6, we do have more content to explore and engage our students with. So we love noticing that shift and being aware of that change.
And keep in mind with the percentages and the minutes that science is so applicable to be blended with English language arts, with mathematics, and with social studies, so that 10%, that 15% can also be attributed to your English language arts time, your math time, your social studies, and art, and phys ed, and wellness.
Next, you'll see that all of our grades, kindergarten to grade 6, are paced for Edmonton Catholic to begin with Earth Systems. You'll see that Earth Systems for certain grades appears longer. In kindergarten, we return to Earth Systems in March and April, and we'll talk about that. Grade 1, because we are talking about cycles and seasons, we will be having that go all year. You'll notice in grades 4, 5, and 6, our organizing ideas are kind of paced 2 months at a time. So 2 months for Earth Systems, 2 months for matter, 2 months for space, 2 months for energy and living systems. And that's not like a firm date. Depending on your class and your needs, we can extend and give and take where we need to help with that flow. And if you ever need help with pacing, planning, organizing, please do not hesitate to reach out to Katarina or I to come co-plan with you and help you through some of these new and exciting ideas in science. You're not alone in science, as every ECSD school at the end of June received their ECSD science bins. So you are starting off the school year with a huge plethora of mentor texts and hands-on materials that you can engage in the curriculum crates and other ideas. You should be able to find your giant Earth Systems bin. It's kind of the brownish color. You'll see this placemat inside. It nicely lays out how it progresses through each grade. So we can see that continuum, that line of how the learning levels up for our students. Then you will also see the bin contents. We have broken it down with the materials, and the materials we didn't put by grade because you'll notice as the learning levels up, a lot of it can be used between grades and sometimes even between organizing ideas. So we have our list of materials there, the consumables, which are directly linked to curriculum crates. And then we do have grades, we do have mentor texts, and then we do have curriculum crates that will correspond with those mentor texts and with those materials. If you need help setting up your ECSD science bins or navigating through them, once again, please do not hesitate to reach out to Katarina or I. We'd love to get you really utilizing these rich materials. So we're really excited about the number of books and engaging hands-on science things. And yes, Kat put in the chat too, we can also help you with those legacy science materials. So buy Rocks and Minerals, we're gonna find you a new home. because even though we're talking Earth systems, you'll see that we're only discussing the upper layers and the soil of our Earth, not diving into rocks and minerals. So let's take a peek at language markers and verbs. I highlighted a variety here. In grade 1, you'll see seasonal changes appear in plants and animals, such as. In any grade, when we see this language marker, such as, that offers me some voice and some choice. So I have the option, if my class is really into camouflage and animals, and then flowers blooming, I can go that route. I am not obligated to cover all 4 of those bullet points. They are options to help guide my learning or explorations in my class. However, in grade 2, you'll see bodies of water on Earth's surface includes. When we see the language marker includes, that means we have to address all of those: oceans, glaciers, lakes, wetlands, and rivers. We do need to have explicit teaching and engagement and discussions and explorations with those bodies of water. Some other language markers you're going to see in grade 3, we have investigate. Whenever we see the word investigate, that's going to be an ideal time to tie in some of our scientific methods, our organizing idea of scientific methods. And you'll notice that progressing through the grades from grade 1 to grade 6, we kind of have the same inquiry cycle that we all go through, and it just levels up again with some of our vocabulary. So when we see that word investigate, right away, start thinking, tie in scientific methods. You'll see another word, demonstrate. When we see that in grade 4 and other grades, obviously, this is, we are doing the science. This is hands-on, this is engaging, we are exploring, we are explaining. There's an opportunity to tie in scientific methods there too, but this is where we really are all engaged. There are lots of other things like cross-curricular connections you're going to see across all the grades, especially grades 2, grade 3, grade 4, and grade 5, and grade 6. There are opportunities for social studies and math data to come in. So when we see things like compare Alberta's climate to the climates of other Canadian provinces and territories, hey, Canadian provinces and territories, that's social studies. I can get a 2 for 1. Then in grade 6, we see words like research, how climate change is affecting ways. When we see words like research, that also helps guide us to what we need to do in that skills and procedures. So that's where we can tie in some of our English language arts as well with those research skills, or even math for collecting data. When I see words like research too, that makes me think scientific methods as well. So when we're diving deep into our cusps, regardless of the grade for Earth systems and all the organizing ideas, we need to be very cognizant of some of these language markers and verbs. Feeling good? I'm going to go now through some of the grades and do some myth busting and some successes and a variety of things. So with kindergarten, it's really ideal for the beginning of the year because we're looking at environments. Environments can be explored and wondered about. You'll notice that kindergarten does not have scientific methods because it's naturally built into the Earth system's organizing idea there. We are really working on fostering curiosity, encouraging our students to ask questions. They are exploring using their senses. They are exploring both inside and outside. You'll see represents a local environment in nature. This is amazing opportunities to take learning onto the land, to get science outside of your classroom and enjoy that route. 2, we'll see things like environments change over time. Science for Earth system in kindergarten is not just done in September and October, and we don't talk about it all the rest of the year. We know that our temperatures are going to fluctuate quite a bit throughout the year. We know that animals are going to change throughout the year. So we are going to record observations and changes in environment for kindergarten throughout the whole year for Earth systems. It's not a one and done. But then you'll notice before in the pacing for kindergarten, we are going to return to Earth systems in the spring, in March, April, May, because when we see environments are important and should be respected and protected, that lines up beautifully with spring and even some of our Earth Day activities and growing and caring. And two, we think it's more developmentally appropriate for our students to tackle some of these big skills and procedures, such as identifying ways to protect and respect environments. They go better with some of our older kinder kids. So that's your look at kindergarten. Just take a peek at grade 1. Once again, you're not obligated to just do Earth System September, October, November, December, because our seasons change throughout the year. So we have an opportunity to carry on and extend our Earth systems as we see fit. Now, as you saw just before in kindergarten, that senses are explored in kindergarten. Here, students in grade 1 will be observing once again environments using their senses, but please do not let legacy science leak in. This is not a 5 senses unit like we used to have with our 1996 science curriculum. We're not delving in as deep. We're just knowing that essentially our senses are used to explore phenomena. Our curriculum is a phenomena-based curriculum, and that our senses can be used also to gather data. Once again, there's a great opportunity for current events and visible thinking routines. We see things like environments can undergo sudden changes, such as storms, floods, fires, and winds. We just had poor Jasper had a cataclysmic fire. So what an awesome opportunity to bring social studies, current events, our local world into science as well. In grade 2, once again, ideal social studies connections when we're looking at landforms as Earth's natural surface. When you're exploring those different communities in your social studies, what an awesome time to compare and contrast some of the landforms found in those various communities and how they compare also to Edmonton. I mean, there's a lot of great opportunities linked in the pacing guides for you with regards to some of the UNESCO sites. We have Google Earth virtual tours and other exciting things that you could do there. In grade 3, you're going to see a lot of different resources, or you might come across things that are talking about crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core. But if we look at any cusp in Earth systems for grade 3, we only see the word surface, 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 and surface. We are not going deeper into the layers of the Earth. There might also be some misconceptions there, because if we look at some of the resources on New Learn Alberta, we can see that there is things like Pangea and plate tectonics. We're not going that deep into there. If you do happen to mention it, or a student comes up with a question, awesome, what a great wondering, let's investigate. But we are looking at how the Earth's surface has changed. So thinking of that soil top layer. Now, too, with grade 3, we see that word dinosaurs appear in there. And the reason that's there is because that's evidence of how the surface layer of Earth has changed. Alberta used to be under an ocean, and it's not anymore. And that has caused us to learn some things and experience some things. But please note that this is not a dinosaur unit. It is one small part that indicates that our Earth hasn't always looked the same. That's what that fossil evidence is. And so too, it lists that many dinosaurs lived in Alberta, such as Albertosaurus, Edmontonsaurus, Nodosaurus, and Tyrannosaurus. I would encourage our teachers to look at the cusps and some of the exemplars to help guide us so that we're not under-teaching and we're not over-teaching. And then two, being aware with all these landforms and the fast and the slow changes and even the dinosaurs, and once again, the UNESCO World Heritage Sites and pieces of Edmonton, that not everything needs to be a research project for our students. There are many exciting ways that we can explore some of these concepts. And I'm going to show you some of those exciting ways. So in grades 2 and 3, and a lot of the grades, we keep seeing that verb discuss, 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 discuss. That means the students are doing the talking. They're doing the engagement with the phenomena. And now some of this phenomena is a little tricky. Not all students may have been on a glacier. That's where we have amazing opportunities to utilize things like our discovery education resource boards. For some of us who are getting ready on Edwin, there's rich images on there. There's things like Google Earth and virtual field trips that we can engage with to get our students discussing. But in the pacing guides and in curriculum crates, you'll see things to support you with the verb discuss, like chat stations and things like fan and pick, and visible thinking routines like imagine if on there. So if you would like to engage with some of those, Kat and I would be happy to come support and co-model or co-teach with you on how to better emphasize that discuss piece in your classroom with some rich images and provocations. Now we're going on to Div 2 Science. So grades 4, 5, and 6 teachers, welcome to your new science. I'm hoping you'll see a few familiar pieces, but with those familiar pieces, we're going to do a little myth busting too. So in grade 4, you're going to see that we're starting with the Earth systems, the spheres, lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. You're going to notice once again here, please stick to the bullets and the verb include. You'll notice we don't say the word geosphere, and we're not going into the layers of the atmosphere or talking about cryosphere. So be aware, teach with care. It might come up in some of your images and some of your discussions, and that's great. We can address, but not assess. And then 2, it sets our parameters. In the knowledge part of our CUSP, it gives us exactly what we say about the atmosphere. This is how we define it. So watch your depth of vocabulary, that you're not under-teaching or over-teaching. Then 2, with grade 4, we have some awesome gizmos, both on New Learn Alberta and the pacing guides and on Explore Learning. If you would like to know more about gizmos, please reach out to Katarina or I, but make sure you check that out. And then once again, in your ECSD science bins, you have amazing rich resources like We Are Water Protectors, which directly links with your English language arts and your science to support you with that. So please take advantage of those great materials in those science bins. In grade 5, I love Kat put this in for us. You're going to look at it, you're going to say, oh, climate and weather, and we're building all the anemometers, and we're talking thermometers, and we're taking weather data. That's awesome. And we're so excited that some of it feels familiar, but it is not the same unit as Topic D Weather Watch that you may be used to. We have some components that are the same, but really we're comparing and contrasting weather and climate, because in grade 6, we're going to be going deeper into climate change and what is climate. 2, we have an awesome opportunity here to think cross-curricularly with social when we're comparing Alberta's climates and the Canadian provinces and territories. 2, a lot of you have written me and said, Natalie, there's 6 climate zones. And I say, yeah, I know, but you only need to address 5 in science: tropical, dry, temperate, polar, and continental. There's a really fun curriculum crate that kind of goes on some Google Earth journeys to help you with that if you would like. 2, on here, you'll see Katarina had a wonderful science COP last year, in which a group of 25 teachers met very frequently throughout the year and made some learning progressions to support you. So for grade 5 Earth Systems, we already have some items ready to go with you for you. It has learning intentions, success criteria, how you're going to see evidence of learning, some learning experiences, even some single point rubrics for Earth Systems to support you. So this lovely document that Katerina's zooming up on really is a jumping off point, a place that can start to support you with your Earth systems. Now, if you think, oh man, this is amazing, I want to do this, Katerina is doing a science COP again this year that we will be making additional learning progressions for more of the organizing ideas and grades. So that's something really exciting you could check out. Grade 6, now we can see how it's leveling up. We're going into climate change. Once again, it is clearly defined in the knowledge what climate change is. And it's such as sea and ocean levels, thickness and duration of sea ice, permafrost changes, number of forest fires. That is a such as, so it means you can touch on one or two, go with the needs and the interests of your class. But we know how to define and begin talking about climate change with our students. Is there a science progression for grade 6 Earth systems?
It is on its way.
It's in the works.
Uh,
What?
Sorry,
So
I was just going to address. So I'll just address Sherry's question. So she asked, is there a science progression for grade 6? There, Earth systems progression is on its way. However, there are a ton of curriculum crates that are available on our SharePoint site, and then as well as additional lessons in the pacing guide. For all of the other organizing ideas, you will find more progressions for grade 6.
thanks, Katerina. Two, you'll see that there are awesome mentor texts regarding weather, climate, and climate change in your ECSD science bins. And some of them are like fresh off the press, like 2023. We were pretty excited about them. So we hope you enjoy those as well. Once again, in grade 6, wonderful opportunities to incorporate current events. We are going to compare theories about dinosaur extinction and how do the theories relate to climate change. Once again, this is not an investigation into dinosaurs. Then I'd like to draw your attention to that kind of warning symbol there. There is a cusp in grade 6 in the skills and procedures where the verb that it starts with is propose ideas on how local elders, traditional knowledge keepers, and scientists can collaborate to support awareness of local climate and climate change. Kat and I would like to draw your attention to this word propose. We're not feeling very comfortable with that use of word. I think it would be better to compare and contrast some of the amazing traditional ways of knowing that many of our Indigenous communities have regarding climate change, instead of us thinking that our ideas are more important, better, or different. This is not in line with two-eyed seeing. Two-eyed seeing is an Indigenous way of knowing that values both traditional intergenerational knowledge with current science beliefs, and that they can work together to support our understanding of the world. So please be aware of some of that language at times when we're diving into this skill and procedure.
I think a great way to tackle this skill and procedure. Oh, I hope I'm not too fuzzy here. Okay. I think a great way to tackle this skill and procedure is to look at maybe current events, cases, articles that showcase how scientists, elders, knowledge keepers, and communities have worked together.
If this is an area you would like to delve deeper into, Katerina and I have like a bi-weekly meeting with Indigenous Learning Services in order to vet, curate, gather resources to better support science with this. So shoot us an email and we'd be happy to collaborate and support you with some of these Indigenous cusps in our science curriculum.
There's also a really great opportunity to connect social studies with Earth systems. And if you're familiar with the Social Studies SharePoint site, our consultants Sam Davidson and Ann Simpson have been sharing the kayak resource, which will have lots of articles and case studies on Indigenous ways of knowing and how scientists work with communities.
Now, computer science. It is an organizing idea, but we have all year to bring that in. However, I'm going to say knowing K to 3 computer science inside and out, it's all about instructions. And we have some amazing beginning of the year opportunities, especially when we're talking about things like fire drills, lockdown drills, how to wash our hands in the bathroom, how to line up after recess. These are all forms of instructions or algorithms. There's a sequence to how things work. So we think it's an amazing time to begin introducing and looking at your computer science organizing idea cusps. Two, if we look at grade 5, we'll see that a computational artifact is anything created by a human using a computer. What a great time to investigate some of the computational artifacts we have in our classroom for grade 5. So beginning of the year is really fun too for computer science. And then you'll see in grade 6, there's a direct correlation to Earth systems organizing idea, because we're looking at computational artifacts can be designed to address societal needs and wants. And you'll see, for example, weather modeling and communications. And so when we're talking about climate change, what computational artifacts are we using there? So great opportunities for some computer science. There's a lot of other areas that you can connect with computer science. So the Alberta Professional Learning Consortium, previously it was ARPDC, is now called APLC, and they have amazing resources talking about our different organizing ideas and linking in computer science. So here are 2 great examples that Katarina pulled out for us. We're looking at Earth systems, what changes can be identified by examining Earth's surface. So this is grade 3. And there's a lot of connections in there and using AI and then different pieces of the world. And then 2, we have the landslide in Edmonton. We have linked here on this slide for you all of the PV sessions of making connections. So Earth systems and computer science for kindergarten to grade 6. So Katarina is taking us to this site. You can watch the video. It's pre-recorded, kind of like recorded like ours is right now. And then they include the slide deck and they go through possible lesson ideas, prompts, provocations, Venn diagrams, and how that connects Earth systems to computer science. Now, I've talked about a little bit about computer science, but don't forget, we also have the organizing idea of scientific methods. We're going to see words like investigate, develop a test and hypothesis based on. When we see some of those keywords, don't forget, we're going to tie in our scientific methods. Kat, do you have anything you want to say in there?
Yes. So for scientific methods, we do plan, and it works best when it's integrated into all the other organizing ideas. But just keep note that there are some vocabulary words and tier 3 words that you will have to do a separate mini lesson for students. So just as an example, grade 4, you're being introduced to different types of data and looking at the reliability of evidence. So we might have to spend some time going through a compare and contrast of qualitative data versus quantitative data.
Here's a little springboard for you of where you could begin tying in some scientific methods. In grade 1, when we see the word investigate animal behavior throughout the seasons, including migration and hibernation, I see that word investigate. Let's pull out my scientific methods organizing ideas and progress through some of that. Grade 2, again, you'll see that word, investigate local and provincial bodies of water. There's many ways we can investigate beyond doing your research project. Like we talked about the chat stations, the fan and picks, the, think, pair, shares, rich images, picture word induction models. There's many ways we can investigate. We can use our Google Earth to go and virtually visit some of these bodies of water. And how does that tie into our scientific methods? What's our question? Are all bodies of water in Alberta the same? And then we progress through the inquiry cycle to go through that. Grade 3, I might tie in some scientific methods with relate activities of plants and animals to changes in Earth's surface. Grade 4, create a plan to implement a conservation practice in a local community. So you're doing you're investigating, and then you're engaging with. It's a two-part process. Grade 5, we have investigate methods used to predict weather. And then grade 6, relate impacts of natural processes and human activities on climate change. So those are great areas that we can tie in some of our scientific methods. And now that I've talked so much about all the different verbs and the pieces and how it levels up and changes from grades to grades, we have Q&A time. So feel free to drop your question in the chat or turn on your mic, and Pat and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have about Earth systems or even the ECSD science bins.
And at this time, I'll stop the recording.
Thank you.